And we are back with one more episode with Diffusion podcast. Today we have Wagner, TftC co-founder, and now also Prospera Private City CFO. Wagner, it is a pleasure to have you here today. And well, I would like to hear from your experience, but I would also like to hear from your background first. So feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Ricardo, thanks for having me. I was a financial officer for Prospera 5 years ago for a couple years during 2019, 2020. And that's when I had my first contact with this topic of special zones and new models of governance, new models of societies, and decentralized communities. And I have a finance background. So previously, I worked in the segments of real estate, fintechs, venture capital investments, and software as a service companies. And yeah, I worked for a couple of years there with Prospero, and now for roughly 1 year, I'm working in Tools for the Commons.
Amazing. When it comes to tools for the commons, we have a wide array of, let's say, skill sets. I would say finance, when it comes to special economic zone, is really important because we're talking about designing new financial codes as well. So thinking about Prosper, the private city, which is also a special economic zone, if I'm not wrong, feel free to correct me, is a private city. And for how long they've been operating in Honduras? It's Honduras, yeah? The Central American country.
Yeah, that's right. It's in Honduras and the island of Roatan. Actually, Prospera is operating since 2017 or so, and all the things started before 2013. But in 2013, actually, Honduran passed an amendment to the constitution allowing the creation of the cities, the zonas especiales para desarrollo económico, special zones for economic development. And based on that, Prospera and other special zones with a high degree of autonomy, with a high degree of liberty in freedom, in the sense of developing special regulations in order to promote the ease of doing business and social economic development and unleash the local human potential and creating jobs and bringing real economic development and prosperity to the region. So all the things started in 2017 and is a project based heavily on real estate investment and legal and regulatory innovation. So this company bought a plot of land in the region in Roatan, and this plot of land they are developing. They just launched the first development there called Duna Residences, and along the development, this real estate development, they built an optimal system of regulations, and also they have a special tax regime. But I think the main thing that they developed is a special regulatory framework designed for the ease of doing business. So, for example, if you want to innovate, I want to innovate in financial services, for example, and my country doesn't allow that, and or I have to overcome some regulation barriers, and even from a sandbox perspective, I can't do that. I could do that in Prospera, and I can in Prospera when you set up a business, you can choose from a variety of different regulatory frameworks. Mainly those used by the OECD countries, and you have this menu of regulatory frameworks that you can choose from, or even you can propose your own regulations. So it's very interesting because it allows you room to operate and to propose new regulations that will be suitable for your business, right? So that promotes innovation in a high level. Um, yeah, and this is important from the financial and economic perspective, obviously, because when you promote innovation, when you promote ease of doing business, you're promoting jobs, you're promoting economic development as well, and all the thesis is based and in the idea that will impact directly the quality of life of the population, of the local population.
Oh, I just love the special economics zones topic. I remember China, for example, it was in a very let's say complex scenario when it comes to politics during Mao, and afterwards they introduced the special economic zones within China, but they have also used a lot of islands. I think Prospera is not quite, let's say, the traditional Cayman Islands. From what I understood, they have built an actual, like, it's an intelligent city. It's quite modern from what I've seen. Yeah, I would like to talk about how you said like they started in 2017, but I wonder how difficult it was to, let's say, to change the legislation, because thinking about Brazil, well, we have in the north of Brazil, we have the Manaus free zone. We can call it free zone, yes, in a certain way. It's not as actually a special economic zone, but it would be good that we have more, let's say, special economic zones within Brazil. Me personally, I hope São Paulo becomes that place, especially with the government right now with Tarcísio. Um, but yeah, like how do you see like how feasible it is to change legislation? How did they achieve that? Because we will probably have to go through the same path in Latin America and Brazil.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And when it comes to the establishment of a special zone, you can have many different models, right? Like you mentioned, a zone like Manaus Free Zone that is merely more like focused on trade and tax benefits for certain segments of the economy. And we have the model of Shenzhen in China, have the model of Dubai with its own financial center, and they have a very comprehensive regulation for virtual assets, by the way. So they're very advanced on the matter. You have other not special zones, but like special tax regimes, like for example Cayman Islands and BVI that are very well known by startups. And we have this new model of that is like Prospera with a higher degree of autonomy. So what I mean is that it's not an easy task, right? So uh, I think that from the political perspective, governments, as I understand, they are starting to understand more and more and becoming more and more aware of the importance of creating those special zones in order to promote economic development. And it started back then with when Hong Kong, Dubai, and China, and regardless of the different models, I think mostly of them, if not all of them, have achieved very important um, things and made a lot of progress in order to achieve the mission that they were designed for. That's mainly economic development. But I think this new model we are talking about is more than that. It's not just economic development. It's not like creating conditions for free trade and not only providing a better place to do business and to operate with less cost. It's more than that. It's providing autonomy. It's providing a better regulatory environment. It's providing a consensual model. So I think that what Prospera did It was amazing from the perspective of moving the needle from 0 to 1. And back in 2013, you're talking about 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, uh, spoke about, nobody talked about it, special economic zones on the sort of, in the Prospera model, I mean. And so they were very, very innovative, and it's an amazing project in that sense. And they have achieved, I understand, my guess is that when you work with a specific and small jurisdictions, small political committees that we should address and you should involve in order to create this relation between the host nation and the project and these special economic zones. So the smaller the better, and the simple the better. So Honduras is a small country in Central America, not too small, but it's a small country. And this creation of cities is only permitted in certain provinces of the country along the coast of Honduras. So what I mean is that they created like a sandbox for special economic zones, and they managed to approve this amendment to the constitution that will give this higher degree of autonomy to the zone. So it's a very interesting project from the experiment perspective, and we should follow very closely because it can be a model for other projects going coming to fruition in the future. As for example, the project that is being developed in Zanzibar at the moment, and for a digital economic zone as well. And so basically we could make a parallel here. It's basically the same thing. You have a decree, we have an investment act, you have all this thing approved by the Congress and according to the local constitution for the creation of special zones, sandbox environment for the creation of this new experiment in terms of regulatory environment, in terms of economic relations and that sort of thing.
Wow, that's very interesting. I just hope we have enough time. There's so many things to talk about. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. But yeah, this talk actually is so interesting. Thinking about now, Latin America. We have some major geopolitical developments in the last years. We got a new president in Argentina, which is like very inclined into liberal measures. I'm not quite into the actual initiatives in Argentina. You can probably talk a little bit better than that. But I think even right now, there is something going on in terms of special economic zone with Solana. Solana is a blockchain, it's a network, yeah, like Ethereum, for whoever is listening. But it supposedly came to be a more efficient Ethereum. And right now, they're holding an event in Buenos Aires and is related with the special economic zones. I'm not sure. Well, I hope so. I just hope Milei is able to catalyze something like that in Argentina because it's very close to Brazil. I believe, of course, Honduras it might be a case example, a module, as you mentioned, but we need something in South America as well because one thing they realize the importance of having special economic zones. They are quite, let's say, uh, close physically than the others. You might use islands, but sometimes they're way too far, and you need also logistics because okay, you might use a special economic zone for tax benefits, but you also need like a special economic zone in the sense of sandbox as well, so you can test new policies as well, political policies, instead of trying to change the whole federal and union. So if you want to talk about uh, initiatives in South America. I know there is Ipe City uh, in the south of Brazil. Correct me if I'm wrong, um, but I'm not aware of anything going on in Argentina. I think there is Crecimiento. Yeah, feel free to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is a very interesting initiative to be followed called Crecimiento. So it's directly connected to the Buenos Aires province. And what they are doing is basically a sandbox for innovation in governance, innovation in um, decentralized tools and technologies. So some of the chapters that I know of that they are working on is the centralized physical infrastructure for internet. For example, they're working on subjects on topics like real world assets tokenization and DeFi applications and that sort of thing. So that's amazing. So when you connect these new technologies to the government systems, so with a very knowledgeable and um, comprehensive group of people involved that know what they are doing. They know the problem, they know the structures, I mean, the governmental structures that are necessary to implement and to be connected and plugged into this digital ecosystem and this regulatory innovations, So we need to put the pieces together so one thing doesn't work without the other, and that's what they are doing. So it's very interesting, this project that would result in a sandbox of applications to be actually implemented into the city of Buenos Aires. I know Cordoba is another city in Argentina with a very promising environment for this type of projects as well, this type of initiatives. And yeah, about IP City is more like the centralized community in the style and the type of network state. I'm part of this group, so we have people basically in the cities of São Paulo and Curitiba as well in the south of Brazil. And IP City is a model that goes, yeah, like I mentioned, is a type of network state and decentralized community, and will be analogous to other types of communities, like for example diasporas that could become also network states in the same shape and the same extent. And to become a decentralized community and to become a network state, we you have to be decentralized, and you have to be common interests and to be highly aligned, and um, besides all of that, capable of executing um, actions collectively on the network capacity, right? So when you provide tools for those communities, for those decentralized communities to be aligned and to operate and to create value, you're creating another type of organization, another type of new society that will be able to operate and create value regardless of territory, regardless of physical components where people are located, regardless of zip codes. So that's a very interesting model of organization as well.
Well, um, one of the things that I keep thinking about, this is a topic that really makes me reflect, because I see we're moving from, let's say, a physical orientated world, and everything becomes possible when it becomes digital. There is no geographical constraints when you think about, well, now we can transact real world assets in the speed of the internet, which was not possible before. Can you imagine, like, the way we use the internet today, like with social media? Now we're introducing assets like houses, like let's say properties, like physical properties, even commodities. This changes everything because you'll be able to facilitate lending, credit, um, and that also opened doors for investment. Because when you think about Brazil right now, we have faced a major, let's say, foreign capital exodus. Yeah, and that's not good for an economy that is basically on dollar. So we'll like to have more investment coming into the continent, but with the actual, let's say, governmental policy that is not facilitated. So if we're not finding a path through politics, I can only imagine this can be done through technology. Um, okay, now let's talk about probably the global south, because of course we have Latin America, but we also have Africa, and of course CFTC is partnership, but in a partnership with um, threefold. Yeah, we are launching digital free zone, as you mentioned, and we can probably create a parallel between special economic zones and digital free zones. Dubai has been quite successful establishing Web3 free zones, and the way I see it, you can probably comment on that. Digital should be always coming first. All the rest comes after. First, the decentralized physical infrastructure is quite important as well. But how does the digital plays a pivotal role in this new, let's say, special economic zones rising around the world?
Yeah, this is a very interesting parallel. So, comparing to for example, Prospera, which is a real estate heavily based project with a very important component of regulatory innovation. And we are talking about now a digital zone, which is this model being developed in Zanzibar, which is not physical at all, at least in this first phase. So what is being developed there is a digital economic zone that would come to the point that I mentioned before of empowering those decentralized communities in the sense that to allow them and to provide them the ability to perform collective action and the ability to interact and the ability to do business and the ability to care for each other. For example, again, mentioning the example of the diasporas. So imagine a diaspora or imagine a nation without a state in the territorial sense. And we have some examples around the world. And those communities could be organized on chain, online, digitally, to create business, to interact, and to leverage their potential and to do business and again to create credit mechanisms and to care for each other and providing support for people we need around the world that belong to this community, to this common heritage, and to this common background. So, okay, so this digital free zone is designed for this kind of community and also designed for digital nomads, also designed for Web3 entrepreneurs. So in this digital free zone, you create your digital identity, you register, you can interact with other digital identities, digital selves, and create organizations, creating businesses, creating entities, and operating on chain in this environment. And all of that in the regulatory compliance with under the structure and according to the laws and according to the constitution of a host nation, which is the autonomous, semi-autonomous Republic of Zanzibar in Tanzania. So this is a very interesting model that is being developed and tested there. So we are in stages now of putting in place an MVP and yeah, having the first users for this digital free zone.
Yeah, I just love this digital free zone case. I haven't seen anything like this, to be honest. Even the Dubai one, it is cool, but it's what we're doing in Zanzibar is different. Uh, and I see it as a global hub for, like, we are working with diaspora communities like Panamanian, and these people, they're so connected culturally, and they just need a place that they can do business. They can stay, let's say, in regulatory flexible environment where they can transact without being impacted by major geopolitical changes, which is happening like every year now. That something is happening, and I feel like we have to be ready. And I think the digital is a huge tool for us to keep adapting to the changes that are, let's say, at this point quite imminent, and it cannot be stopped. So I'm not even thinking about Zanzibar being a home for one type of communities, but for different type of ones. And Africa can be, let's say, yeah, like a central hub for communities coming from, like, there are refugees coming from Ukraine as well. They'll probably have their own online community that turns into a network society. This topic I have talked through with Hugo in the previous episode. But yeah, let's say it can easily become a hub for digital native institutions. Uh, and of course, they can interact with each other and become, let's say, a safe haven for organization collectives from all over the place. Thinking about South America as well, I see probably the last 30 years, 20 years, we've been through a lot politically, and we haven't moved forward too much when it comes to, let's say, okay, in innovation, in an innovation sense. Brazil has been an example, especially with fintechs, but there's a lot of things to get done, and I feel like it would be beneficial that we start going through the same path as China. Like China, like, had a gigantic digital leap into the future when they start using special economic zones. So having actual big institution, big startups being established in special economic zones can probably uh, fast forward us into the future. How do you see, let's say, thinking about one type of institution that could be established in a digital free zone? I can see Web3 initiatives, they're probably much more inclined to that. So if you want to talk about one type of specific type of institution that would suit to be established in digital free zone, that would be amazing.
Yeah, regards to the development of fintechs, making a parallel of financial services and governance. For example, in Brazil, the progress that we've seen in fintechs and the financial services isn't reflected in the progress in government services and government, and that's what I want to see. And when you make progress in these structures that provide governance services to the population and treating citizens as customers, not only as users of the government services, despite the progress that the governments already have achieved in terms of the digitalizing services, I think there is a way to go in terms of really implementing innovative solutions in that sense. And with regards to what business would be more suitable to be established under this structure of digital free zones, I think I would say they are very very open. I see, for example, in the case of Prospera, I see that what the type of businesses that are flourishing there are basically innovations in pharmaceuticals, in terms of medical innovation and treatments and medical research, and also in financial services. When you come to the example of the digital free zone, I think it's more focused on non-physical but digital businesses, and also with a focus more on leveraging the power of those decentralized communities and, providing like you said, a safe haven for some types of people that some people that don't that can't find adequate environment for them to thrive and to live their lives and perform their businesses and to prosper, right? And I think in the case of the digital free zone, this would be really more open and more focused on leveraging the power of a community of organize themselves into finding solutions to to this community and to the members of this community to prosper. And yeah, so the possibilities are endless, I think. Um, yeah, but everything related to innovation would really benefit from the the frameworks that are being developed in this new experiments.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. There is so many things I would like to talk about, but we are reaching the end of the podcast. Wagner, I just want to thank you for all the insight that you have provided to me, and also for the audience. I just would like to use the last few minutes to probably pinpoint something that I think is extremely important for Latin America. I see we are talking about the governance. Yeah, we had like major financial advancements and innovation, but we will also like to have that reflect in governance. I believe, from my perspective, a digital free zone like the one we're launching in Zanzibar will be amazing for online communities. More than that, for decentralized autonomous organizations. But thinking about Brazil right now, especially São Paulo, I love the government, what they're doing, and they're doing a lot of like digitalization of the services. We had only 5 minutes left, but if you like to talk about the future of the city of São Paulo, which is one of, let's say, is the biggest city in South America.
In terms of solutions for governance.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like I mentioned before, I think the best way to go for a big city like São Paulo or other big cities is starting small and starting innovating and starting right now. So the solutions are all there, and like Buenos Aires is doing right now, is creating a sandbox environment and inviting people, inviting communities. There is this model of pop-up city, which is very interesting, where a lot of people come together for many parts of the world to discuss governance, to discuss digital, to discuss legal engineering, to discuss financial engineering, and creating and sharing information and coming up with solutions, coming up with proposals for implementation. And so, Brazil is doing that a lot in terms of the central bank, for example, is doing a lot of that in terms of financial innovation. So, creating sandboxes for financial innovation. That's very interesting, and it's an amazing initiative. But again, we should now starting the innovation start the innovation in the government services governance, and that's what you need now. Because if you do that, we are gonna be unleashing an enormous potential for innovation and for people to really create. So we are coming to a bottleneck, and not only because people are not creative, but because capital flows simply don't reach the the innovators, the entrepreneurs. So the model, like the system is organized, is outdated for the needs of the society. And what I mean is that when you create innovation in the government systems, when you come to new solutions, when you decentralize decisions, and when you provide a higher degree of freedom and autonomy for people, and when you take out some barriers uh, um, for creating, for researching, and for exploring new types of solutions in all the segments that you can imagine, even if you're health, education, or finance or anything else. You create the proper environment for people to really come up with ideas and come up with solutions to the problems that we are facing right now.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I do believe in the concept of pop-up villages as a measure to kick off changes and not only stay in the digital. I believe the physical has to meet the digital at a certain point, and sometimes they have to cooperate with each other. Well, Wagner, it was honestly amazing talk. I wish we could be here for at least 2 hours, but that's it. That's it for today. Once again, I'd like to thank you for your participation. You're on LinkedIn. I know if you want to let the audience know as well, what are your social media. But yeah, I also invite people to join the conversations in LinkedIn. So in LinkedIn, what is your name exactly? Is Wagner Perez? Can you let the audience know?
Yes, Wagner Perez, and I also invite everyone to follow us, Tools for the Commons.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for your audience today. And next week, we have another episode of Diffusion Podcast. See you.